and we are live. I hope people can see us now, and whoever is joining, I would love for our audience to just let us know if they can see us, hear us, so that uh, everything is set. A thumbs up or good to go would be lovely. If you can drop it in the comments that everything is clear, you can see ma'am, you can see me, it would be great. Yes, I think we are getting a good reaction that people can see us, and I think we just get started with your approval, ma'am.
Definitely. Please go ahead.
Yes. Thank you. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Writer's Room. This is our second episode, a conversation series by the Writer's Studio, where we speak to people across marketing, branding, communication, not just about what they do, but how they think as well. And today's conversation is one I have been really looking forward to because we are not talking about campaigns, we are talking about everything that exists before them. And joining me today is Surhuda Kulkarni, founder, educator, and mentor at MTF Pune. She's worked across journalism, communication training, writing, and public speaking, which means she's seen branding not just as output but as something that's built from within. Really glad to have you here, ma'am. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. The pleasure's mine.
Absolutely. As I was already talking to you, ma'am, about the entire topic, right? That I wanted to start with completely simply that because this term gets used a lot, campaigning, branding. So while everyone is talking about campaigns, if you could quickly share with us, what does branding beyond campaigns actually mean to you?
Uh, to me, branding beyond campaigns actually really means about what is the company vision, what is the company management thinking of offering to people. It's definitely just beyond logos and beyond brand language and beyond. More than that is the best person who can actually sell things to people is somebody who empathizes with what people want and here
Correct.
what what is it that people are looking for and am I giving it. So once
Hmm.
this philosophy is actually clear, so clarity, the number one thing is clarity. So clarity of
Correct.
what I'm offering to people and how do I add value either to their living or to their thought processes or to their overall experience about in any line of activity. So what is it that I'm offering? This clarity is very important. What is the purpose behind either this product or the service? What is the purpose behind this entire campaign? What is it? What am I trying to do? Am I trying to just create a brand recall, or am I trying to sell a new product, or am I trying to just have be in the public eye? What is it? What is my purpose? That's the second thing. The next thing is extremely important. What are the values? So these are the seven pillars actually. What are the values that I carry as a brand? So that also is something which really matters. What are the strengths of my product? What are the strengths of my branding overall? That really matters. Whether it's a medicine, whether
Yes.
it's a pharmaceutical product, whether it's a food product, whether it's a service, whether you're selling a, as you said yourself, whether you're selling a, a food delivery app. What is it that you're selling?
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
what are my strengths
Hmm. Hmm.
vis-a-vis? So the competitive edge over the others. So my branding also should be, very very clearly should put across all this. The energy that I project as a team, as somebody who's selling something, the energy is absolutely, it has to be contagious. It has to be something that sets me apart. Because something which is low on energy doesn't dissipate that kind of zeal and enthusiasm will not get sold, right? And ownership and legacy. These two are extremely important things. What is the legacy of these brands? Now, sometimes in the sunshine sectors nowadays, there are brands which are just born, right? They're just born. Maybe every brand is born today.
Yeah.
Whatever is it, is how much is their lives. There are some brands who have really come here and they have established themselves in a very short span of time. Whereas,
Correct.
the old brands maybe it took 100 years for them to settle. for them to establish themselves. So it's not about the age. It's about the legacy that you actually try to carry forward, and the ownership with which I really want to serve people. That makes a difference. So I just
Correct.
said about seven very important things.
That's really interesting because it also, I think, yeah, brings up something I've been thinking about, which is what I wanted to ask you next, because it kind of flows into this conversation because you talked about, like, can a brand with a weak internal culture, because you also mentioned what the company thinks about what they're offering and who they are actually also shows up in the campaigns. So can a brand with a weak internal culture ever build a strong external image?
Uh, I think sometimes, even if they try to put a fancy facade to their operations via some branding
Mm-hmm.
exercise, they can do that. It happens. It has happened to very, very established, even jewelers, established hotel chains, some established businesses also. They came, they tried doing it. However, when the internal culture collapsed, they collapsed. So it wasn't branding that could save them. It was primarily the foundation which was weak, and they just couldn't put up the show any forward. So branding definitely helps them to have a face outside. However, if internally there is a malady, it the show can't go on. It just has to crumble.
Very, very, very rightly said. But I wanted to understand this a bit deeper. I want to understand from you that where does this break? Let's say, because if I am a company and probably my culture is not that good, but I have partnered with an amazing agency that will do a good campaign for me. But let's say I do 10, 5, 15 campaigns, but where does it actually break if I have an internally bad culture or a weak culture? How does it kind of break the strong outside image?
See, what happens is with something which is terribly wrong inside, there's no question of branding continuing at all, because if there are no ethics, if there are no values that you stick to, if there are employees who are constantly unhappy, you can't make your own employees happy. Forget about making external customers, your buyers happy. See, basically,
Yeah.
it's all about sticking to values, ethics, uh, as well as there could be some other reasons why you're breaking down. It's not just, maybe it's sometimes some businesses go sick, so maybe they have values, they have ethics, they have everything, but sometimes operations just go sick. So here it's not a very white and black thing as to why internally it crumbles. In whichever
Okay.
case, branding would have helped you to hold on to that image for a little time, but it can't continue if
Correct.
internally there are issues, and eventually the brand has to fall down. Either that, it has happened to many brands. Either that, or they go into hibernation for a little while, or there are competition issues. For instance, suppose if you think of Nokia, for a long time Nokia was nowhere, and then they
Yeah.
reinvent themselves.
Absolutely.
And then they reinvent themselves. So there could be brands, there could be major Indian
Yeah.
electronic brands. I wouldn't want to take any names here. However, okay, so now you have at one point of time you're actually doing very well. Maybe Indian, uh, these Indian companies in the white goods space. So, two brothers used to run this company, and they were doing very well. They have a brand ambassador. They have maybe Abhishek Bachchan who is doing the brand ambassadorship. Later they crumble. It's not because of the branding was weak or the branding was strong. They had internal issues. The company was going sick anyways. So now whatever legacy also you had, you couldn't carry it forward. So it's not just about branding, it's also about that internal culture, internal ethics, internal principles, how sick they are, how healthy they are inside.
Correct. Correct. Again, a very strong point, which I think also connects to the people inside the organization that you mentioned. Right.
It's not
So,
just people, the systems
let's.
also, Kankona, the systems also.
Hmm. Hmm.
Sometimes,
So
sometimes,
systems also.
yeah, sometimes it's also poor financial health of corporations. You can't help it.
Absolutely. How much longer will you take it with a campaign, a good campaign, a shiny campaign? Ultimately, it will fall down.
That's just the facade.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Absolutely, absolutely. Got it. But I wanted to kind of pick or understand from the people side of things what changes when employees start thinking like brand ambassadors instead of just employees, right? Because ultimately they are also carrying out that ethics, that message out in the world.
Correct. As I understand, what you mean to say is, can employees themselves become brand ambassadors?
Yeah, yeah, that is a question. Yeah.
Very, very true. Say, speak to employees from Tata Group
Hmm, hmm,
and how
hmm,
highly they will speak about everything that the company
hmm, hmm,
does, or rather, what Ratan Tata did for them during
hmm.
the disastrous 26/11. There were 80
Correct.
people. Yeah, he supported them throughout. He supported them for everything. So for some
Hmm,
families, for families of employees, those who had unfortunately lost their lives, Ratan Tata stood in. He took care. Not just that, he supported them through even psychological, rehabilitation as to,
hmm,
and then he gave them salaries for life. He gave them medical aid, he gave them psychological help, he gave them moral support. He saw to it that they're standing up again, despite the tragedy. So
correct.
which Yeah, so if you have companies like this, employees
Hmm,
definitely can identify themselves with such great values. And when they speak
hmm,
about their own company outside, say for instance, when
hmm,
employees in the form of HR people, when they recruit people,
hmm,
they themselves talk very highly of the company philosophy, the company values, and this is
hmm.
one reason why people want to join that company, and then it grows. So every single person speaks very highly of the company values and ethics, and then this is internal branding.
Got it, got it. But how, I'm trying to understand, like Tata Group is, of course, it's a legacy brand, but from, let's say, early stage or newer companies, how can companies build this, such brand ambassadors intentionally? Like, is there anything that they can do?
Yes, of course, they can. There are various ways in which they can do this. Smaller companies, maybe
Hmm,
companies with maybe 100 crore turnover. I have
hmm,
seen one such company. I have had a client company. They are into real estate space, and
hmm,
the transparency with which they operate with the employees, the values they hold, the ethics they hold. It doesn't take time for all this goodness to spread across their employee base, right? So
correct.
they right from the word go, they have to have
Hmm,
these principles in place.
hmm,
They have to take all the employees. Uh, they have to take all the employees with them, along with them, and then they all move together in the same flow. So there are no people who really just go, they go against the ethics and the principles laid out by the company's management. So
hmm.
it all begins from the word go, and
Go.
also on the way,
Hmm. True. Very true. Very true.
because this
Uh,
transformation is very important. Every single thing that is happening, or rather everything is audited, everything, there are systems, there are procedures which make company operations very transparent and ethical, and
hmm, hmm.
employees actually understand what's happening, right? They don't have to be,
Correct. Correct.
yeah, nothing has to
Hmm.
be hidden from them.
Mm-hmm. And even if things are, the vibes or the energy kind of always will transcend,
Yes.
even if
So
somebody is.
and how does it get connected to branding is, uh, say for instance, they are building a company, the company is growing, and now they sit with their brand managers, they sit with the ad
Hmm.
agencies that they are working for. So
Hmm.
here we had a program for a real estate company which was a growing company, and there
Correct.
their their slogan was, we are you friendly. YOUU.
Hmm.
Yeah. This company
Hmm.
is called as Achlare Realtors, and it was a growing
Hmm.
company 14 years ago when we teamed up with them.
Hmm.
This was the exact alignment that we were looking for when this company we
Okay.
work for. Yeah. So what you
Hmm.
friendly means is we are here to serve you, which is the external buyers, the buyers.
Hmm.
So if
Hmm.
we are reaching out to the buyers with that spirit and that enthusiasm and that earnestness, we have
Hmm.
to be we have to be earnest in all our systems and procedures. And the company management saw to it that they really follow all these principles, and they built a you friendly culture. The slogan was you friendly. You can see their
You
ads on
friend.
it. Yeah.
Okay.
So the ad
Okay.
agency was given a prompt that everywhere, they said we are a you friendly company. It's all about you. It's
Hmm.
not about us. It's all about
Hmm.
you. If Kankona has to buy a home, we think for them. We think for the buyers. And then
Right.
this philosophy was also taken up inside. And by way of training, we tried to sort of, it transpired like, we spread it across the organization. So
Lovely.
there is
Lovely.
an
I think this
alignment
you
between.
philosophy. Hmm.
Correct. So there is a build up. There is a connection
Hmm.
between what is
Hmm.
being told outside. We have to live for that promise, and if we have to live for that
Absolutely.
promise, we have to create an awareness among employees as to this is our philosophy. Let's all
Hmm.
work towards achieving it.
Very,
That's how
very,
the
very rightly said. Hmm. Can you repeat the brand name once again that you mentioned? I would love to go and check if
yeah,
possible.
it's called as Achlare Realtors. It's a brand. It's a real estate company based at Pune,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
and they have a campaign. During those times they used to have a campaign called as YOUU. So
Okay.
yeah, it's about they speak to their customers like that.
Hmm. That's a very. I mean, the customers would also feel like, okay, I'm not being sold to. This company cares about me.
That's true. And then if it has to happen outside, it also has to happen inside within the organization. And the management
That
with
is
all its
what I want to understand, because the customer part I completely understand. How does it happen inside? Like, it's a you thing.
yes. So it happens. See, uh, yeah, of course, the very tangible aspect of this branding will be via the slogans and the branding lines going here there. However, the owners and the company management takes great efforts to reach out
Hmm.
to every single person in the organization to drive in this philosophy via workshops, via their talks, via
Hmm.
formal training. All this happens, and then they
Correct.
realize, yes, all of us have to align to that goal.
Hmm. Correct. 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 Because I think it is a channel or a distribution channel. Even employees become a distribution channel when they talk to vendors, when they are hiring somebody else, when they're talking to investors. All of it comes out. Correct.
Very true. And then when you go out, when you mix up socially
Hmm.
also, you speak very highly of your
Hmm.
company, and then you become a
Hmm.
brand ambassador. You just don't take home
Hmm.
a salary. You also
Correct.
speak very highly of the brand that you represent.
Very true, very true. And I think it stays on even when I'm not wearing the company's ID card, or even when I'm not logging in, logging out.
Very true.
Hmm, got it, got it. I want to ask the next question from the point of view of our audience, because they are mostly people who are beginning or maybe in the mid stage where they are trying to pursue branding and writing. From your experience, if you could just help us understand that how important is it for students or early stage professionals to understand and believe the brand philosophy,
Understand the belief of the brand
the
philosophy.
brand understand the brand philosophy, right? Let's say if I am beginning my career, right, how important is it for a beginner to understand and believe in the brand philosophy? As you were mentioning, right, the brand philosophy was you, we care about
Correct,
you.
correct, correct. So it has to be both ways. The company also doesn't have to
Okay.
alienate new people. Remember,
Okay.
we always drive in one principle. Every single person in an organization is important across board.
Hmm.
For instance,
Hmm. Hmm.
suppose if
Hmm.
if I am working as a sweeper
Hmm. Hmm.
for
Hmm.
a five-star hotel, I am a
Yeah.
stakeholder in the business. How? Today I am on leave. Okay?
Hmm.
and the carpets are not cleaned. The carpets are
Hmm.
messy. There
Hmm.
is a lot of garbage lying around,
Hmm.
and I'm not there to
Hmm.
clean it. But can the hotel management say that we'll just let you out this place just like that? You can just, we are helpless. We can't give you a clean room.
Hmm.
Nevertheless, we're
No.
going to charge you for this because
Hmm.
our cleaners are away.
No,
Can
it
this
can't
happen?
happen.
It
No.
can't happen. So in this
Hmm.
situation, the cleaner becomes a stakeholder in this business because his role is important. It's role driven. It's not a
Hmm.
person dependent system. It's a role dependent system. The process is not complete. So I am also a stakeholder, which means that I am at the lowest rung. Yet I need to understand why is it that my role is important. How we cannot offer something which is because it's beyond our principles to offer a messy room to a client. So
Correct.
if the company takes me in with the flow, the company will never alienate me. He or she, the company owners, the stakeholders, they will consider me as important and make me feel welcome. And then I stand there as a brand ambassador. So if your
Hmm.
students are new and if they join a company which is very transparent, which is ethical, which has these principles very clear, they'll themselves understand what the company
Hmm.
stands for, and right away they'll start adhering to those, or they'll be in alignment with what the company expects, what the company vision is. So yes, for them it's
Correct.
very important to understand all these things.
I really like how you said that it is a two-way street. It is never a one-person thing. It takes two to tango, basically. I really like the fact the company also has to come midway, and the let's say our students who are joining a company newly, who have to, I mean, hold the flag of the company, be the flag bearer. They also have to come midway.
Correct. Because a fresher is not the freshers. All of us have been freshers at some time. So as a fresher, I
Hmm.
have no idea,
Absolutely.
and
Absolutely.
it's a top down
Absolutely.
thing. It has to come from
Yes.
top to bottom.
Absolutely, absolutely. Lovely, lovely. I really like this perspective, ma'am. I want to now ask you a controversial question. I'm not sure if it is, but I feel it's a controversial question. I want to understand that is consistency
Go
more
for it.
important than, yeah, is consistency more important than creativity in branding?
Oh God. Both applications are different. Both applications are different. Let me handle it
Correct.
like a academic question. Academically
Okay.
speaking, creativity weighs more heavily. It is definitely has
Hmm.
is a hevier thing than
Hmm.
consistency. Consistency,
Hmm.
once you create something, you have to just keep uh, rolling it in front of people's eyes, only to grab
Right.
eyeballs. Yeah.
Hmm.
However, creativity definitely wins over consistency, and
Correct.
it appeals. Both audiences are different.
Hmm.
Creativity helps for people. We have all kinds of, when you speak of audience segmentation and I launch a,
Right.
brand campaign, I'll be hitting out at people who are educated masses, who are intellectuals, who are uh, different things. They get bored with regular things, and
Hmm.
then creative ads will they will excite them.
Hmm.
Hatke, something different.
Yes.
It could be
Yes.
crazy, it could
Yes.
be mad, it could be just,
Hmm.
it could just blow you out.
Hmm.
There are a number of
Hmm.
such ads which are, we wonder as to what is this creativity, how mad they are. But
Yeah.
then, that is something that we really like to. For that instance, those are old ads about uh, the old Raddi seller. No,
Hmm. Hmm.
the sandals, the Fevicol ad.
Yes,
And how
yes, yes.
the mother sells away the daughter's used sandals and goggles and
Yes.
everything, flares.
Yes, yes, yes.
And
Yes.
this old woman who's I think a rag picker, she picks it up
Hmm.
and she refixes it with Fevicol and she starts using it again. So there could be
Hmm.
n number of ads which are so creative, which are so different, which appeal to a different kinds of
Hmm.
audiences, which appeal to different
Hmm.
audiences, and uh, constant consistency, also keeping the brand alive in front of people, saying the name, brand name, n number of times. Say Nirma, 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 Nirma. That is also one kind of brand strategy to appeal to different kinds of audiences. So both works. However, in my personal opinion, creativity is really very, very important.
Correct. I really like the fact that you took a stand. You didn't come and say that, okay, we have to go a mixed way.
Because
No, no, this
see,
is really correct.
subliminal
Hmm.
communication, subliminal. We have to attack. You have to
Hmm.
convey your message very subliminally. It's not going to be
Hmm.
half the world in advertising has gone subliminal. Gone are the days
True.
where you actually have to utter the brand name a number of times.
Hmm.
I don't have to do that
Yes.
any longer. I
Hmm.
have to drive my messages subliminally, make inroads to a person's, to the viewer's heart.
Hmm, hmm, hmm. True, true, true. I think the way what I understand from what you're saying, and if I had to summarize, so the creativity has to be the factor or the aha factor throughout my campaigns, but the consistency can come throughout, let's say, the tone of the messaging that we are talking about, the colors, the textures, the assets that we are using. But the aha factor or the shock factor should always be through the creativity.
Very well said.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Mm-hmm.
Very well said, Konkana. You're right. So it's
Yeah.
regardless of what you're trying to convey, the consistency of the brand language has to be there. Correct?
Right.
All the colors,
Absolutely.
logos, that is understood. That's like ABC of
Hmm.
advertising and branding.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
However,
Got
what
it.
is the
Got it.
differentiating factor is the subliminal inputs with which you
Hmm.
create your advertising material.
Hmm.
And that is
Very
where
true.
your creativity is, it reigns supreme. It has always reigned
Absolutely.
supreme and it will continue to reign supreme. Whether AI happens or whatever happens, your creativity is going to be there always as a very, very important
Absolutely.
factor.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think the heart of campaigns or the heart of branding, not branding, but the heart of campaigns is creativity for me, if you had to ask me.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. 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 And we are almost getting to the close of our episode, and I wanted to bring this back to something practical. If you had to build a brand today from scratch, what would you focus on first?
The first thing, it's very easy to answer this. The first thing is what is it? Again,
Okay.
all the seven principles. What is the purpose?
Mm-hmm.
What is the end result of what I'm doing? What I should keep that in mind and do something for my brand.
Hmm.
And if I have to create that brand philosophy has, as I said, has to be inculcated into the person who's, even serving water to my customers. Say, for instance, if it's a
True.
brick and mortar facility, it's a brick
Hmm.
and mortar business. For instance, it's a co-working space. Now we do trainings also
Yes.
for co-working spaces. So for a
Hmm.
co-working space, what is it that is the core of that business? One is infrastructure. The second is their service
Hmm.
people. So
Hmm.
little things like how I serve water, how whether I'm wearing hand gloves, am I
Hmm.
polite with people. Say for instance, I go to a mall. So what do mall managements do nowadays? How does hospitality industry operate? Hospitality industry operates on two principles. One is the infrastructure that we provide, and the second is the service
Yes.
that we provide. So yes,
Hmm.
it has to be. If I'm trying to build a brand in whatever sector, I
Hmm.
have to see to it that my brand philosophy, something that I have envisioned as the founder, has
Hmm.
to be
Hmm.
top down. First, I should be the proponent of that philosophy. The second thing is every single person associated with my brand or selling my brand or somebody who's in my brand has to understand that and has to follow that and practice that. So I'll ensure that it happens.
Hmm. Got it. Got it. And I think this you spoke in terms of again the internal culture, and this is a very key factor because instead of just campaigning or creating marketing collaterals, assets, how we actually represent the brand when we are offering the service or the product also matters.
Very true.
Got it.
It
Got it. I
applies to
think. I think.
everyone. It applies to gig workers. It applies to, say, for instance, I book a cab.
Hmm.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I'm looking at the cab service provider as a big
Yeah.
entity, and I expect that kind
Hmm.
of wonderful service when I enter the cab. It at
Yes.
least it has to be a clean cab, but I don't find
Hmm.
it, so I get
Hmm.
irritated. It is smelly, it is the stench, it is stinking of
Hmm.
sweat, it is
Hmm.
dirty, the driver is rude, they
Hmm.
don't know all these things. And now you build a brand and you say something, you say one thing about the brand, and what we experience inside the cab is different. So it
Correct.
doesn't match, and then what you
Hmm.
have is a frustrated customer.
Hmm. Correct.
So it has to
Absolutely.
apply, it has to, it's not just about making money. It's
Hmm.
also about keeping the promise of that service alive. And if brands fail to do that,
Absolutely.
they will be run out of business soon. Because competition is one thing which is a very big challenge.
Correct. Correct. I think you have
And if
given a very relevant example. Yeah. Yeah. You were saying.
no, that's what I'm saying. Every single person in the chain, every single, in all sectors. So
Hmm.
every
Hmm.
single person who is client facing has to carry forward that philosophy if you want to build a big brand.
Correct, correct. Got it. So I think for companies out there who are watching this or would watch this, the key lesson from here is that of course you do great campaigns, of course you use creativity, consistency in your branding, but the branding, or you also have to understand that when you are providing that service or the product, how it appears from that process onwards as well.
Correct. So do you really stand up to that promise?
Hmm, exactly. That's the question to answer. Yes, very, very rightly said. I think that's a great place to wrap this up. Unless, ma'am, if you have anything else to add on to this discussion, I would love to hear anything else that is, would be beneficial for our audience.
I'd like to say that you conducted this interview very well. All the questions were so pertinent. You were patient
Right.
through my answers,
Oh,
and yeah, you thought very well
thank
ahead
you.
of the questions. You really thought very well ahead of them, and I'm really
Thank
happy to
you.
be here. I wouldn't want to
Thank
add
you.
anything unless anyone has any specific questions.
Yes, they have. They have. That is why I wanted to take those questions later on. We can take the questions, right, from the comments?
If I can
Yeah.
answer them, I'll answer them.
Absolutely, I am sure you will be able to. Nikita asks that she has two questions. She asks that how can aspiring writers contribute to building a brand identity beyond just writing ads?
So, do you mean to say for your client or for yourself?
For the client, right?
Client,
I'm
when
an
you write
aspiring
a
writer.
client,
Yeah.
so you need to sit with your client, make sure
Hmm.
what kind of tone, what kind of language, what kind of it matters a lot. So
Hmm.
whether it's going to be, what is it that the client is looking for. So you make sure before
True.
you start creating copy for them. All of
Hmm.
us who have been into this writing space, we've all
Hmm.
worked for corporate clients. I've also worked for advertising clients, PR
Hmm.
clients,
Hmm.
public relations
Hmm.
clients. So we really need to
Right.
understand what is the tone. Every single client for every single initiative can have a
Hmm.
different expectation. So set the expectations right.
Hmm.
Set the expectations right in the first place. Try to find out
Absolutely.
whether what they're looking for and what you can do is there's a, if there's synergy there. If there's no
Hmm.
synergy,
Hmm.
then your writing effort will be a waste. And I have also
Absolutely.
realized it with, sometimes long time ago,
Hmm.
where it fails is there's no synergy. They're looking for a
Hmm.
very interactive tone, and you come up with something which is more in third person.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
maybe sometimes that mismatch can happen. So please set your expectations right before you create any creative work. That is very
Absolutely.
necessary. So when we also hire people who write for us or who do advertising, branding, we make it sure that they follow all our brand guidelines. So again, it's a partnership between the client and you, and it makes things clear.
Absolutely, that's a very good pointer because I think for aspiring writers, they would be so passionate to do the work. This is something they might not think of, but it can also make or break the relationships that they will build onwards. Thank you so much for that suggestion. Nikita also has another question. She asks that during the rebranding phase, how can a brand make sure that it does not lose its soul? I think it's a very good question.
To this, I have an example about Cadbury's.
Hmm. Hmm.
So Cadbury's always was in. a non-competitive space, as I understand, as a layperson. I am not a research and survey person, nor am I a marketing person like you. However, I understand
Yeah.
that every brand reinvents their own branding philosophy every now and then, and they
Correct.
reinvent what kind of message, what the various ways in which they reach out to people. That can be reinvented, that can be written,
Hmm.
as well as keeping their soul intact, the brand soul intact.
True.
So sometimes it is,
True.
to celebrate memories, you have Cadbury. Sometimes, now they've started saying, for Indian festivals, just have a chocolate which is Cadbury's. So
Yeah.
this is again creativity. You should be high
Hmm.
on the creativity quotient and come up with new ideas. Ideation helps.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
So your ideation should be high.
Got it. Got it. And again, the heart of the brand remains the same. Maybe the outer layer, which is the rebranding, can keep changing, but the heart has to remain the same.
So you can go to people again and again with a different message.
Hmm. True. 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 That
So
makes
you're
sense.
not
I
you're not
think that.
compromising on your product, you're not compromising on your philosophy, you're
Hmm.
not compromising on the clarity. Just the purpose for
True.
campaigning could be different.
Got it. Got it. Makes sense. Makes sense. Thanks for that advice as well. The last question that we'll be taking up today is from Soha, who says that are the companies nowadays much worried about branding or marketing? Because if we see the ads of the 90s, it was about creating a brand presence in the market, and those ads still exist. I think the example that you're telling from Fevicol.
Uh, it pretty much goes hand in hand, doesn't it? So if you have a
Hmm.
marketing strategy in place, a fair amount of budgeting also goes on advertising. The only thing is the medium can change. In fact, advertising on internet has gone up multifold times. So
Hmm.
uh, maybe you will just change the channel. You will not go in for print, which is much expensive. You will not go in for TVCs. You will not. You will just put
Hmm.
your ads on, even on local WhatsApp channels. You can put your ads on. So your marketing strategy will also, it never goes without a budget. So when you lay out your budgets, you will, while planning for media, so the media planning strategy has to be redone to suit newer budgets, your target audiences, whatever product that you're selling, how many people are you trying to reach out. So all these factors come into when you plan for marketing and branding both together. So it's a basket, right? You just can't
Yeah.
randomly say that advertise here. No, it's not going to happen. If you are going to do a small ad
Hmm.
for a boutique, which is a local boutique, so
Hmm.
just do some
Hmm.
branding via WhatsApp messages. It
Hmm.
helps. Do some local branding via
Yeah.
Facebook. Maybe it helps.
Yeah.
However, if you're a
Yeah.
national business, if you're a regional business,
Hmm.
the scale will differ,
Hmm.
the channel will differ, like that.
Correct. Correct. That's a very balanced way to look at it. Absolutely, there is no, you can't pick and choose. It will have to go hand in hand as well. So yeah, I think we do not have any other questions. So I think this is a great place to wrap this up. What do you think, ma'am? Like, I think this was an amazing conversation for me, very eye opening as well.
Oh, really? I am so elated it was like that for you. And the pleasure is totally mine. And I'm really thankful to the writer studio, Sohini, where
Yes.
she's moved. All of you are doing a wonderful job there. Makes me immensely proud. And I sincerely
Thank
hope
you.
and trust I could make justice to this. If I did,
You
thank
did.
you very much.
You did, ma'am.
Thank
This
you.
was such a grounded and an honest conversation, right? Because in marketing and advertising, we keep hearing there's a lot of noise basically around campaigns. But what you today spoke about was so much beyond that. I think what stood out for me is how much of branding actually happens before as well as after anything goes out into the world. So that was the point of this conversation. I think you did more than injustice, and it was an honor to have you here.
Oh, the honor is also very mine. Very much mine. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so
Thank you.
much. Thank you so much.
Thank
And
you.
for everyone listening, this is the writer's room. And we'll be back with more such conversations. Thank you to the audience for asking such meaningful questions, and thanks for joining. Thanks again, ma'am. Have a good day. Have a good day,
Thank you.
everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you. I'll just end the stream.